Good morning, dear children. Today we are going to see the remaining part of the chapter 2 of history, that is from trade to territory. Today's our topic is first the claim to paramountcy. Paramountcy here means supreme power or authority. It is clear from the above that from the early 19th century the company pursued an aggressive policy of territorial expansion. Under Lord Hastings, Governor General from 1813 to 1823, a new policy of paramountcy was initiated. Now, the company claimed that its authority was paramount or supreme. So, the company claimed that they are more supreme, hence its powers were greater than that of Indian states. In order to protect its interest, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. This view continued to guide later British policies as well. This process, however, did not go unchallenged. For example, when the British tried to annex the small state of Kittur in Karnataka today, Rani Chennamma took to arms and led an anti-British resistance movement. She was arrested in 1824 and died in prison in 1829. But Ranayana, a poor chowkidar of Sangoli in Kittur, carried on the resistance. So after the death of Rani Chennamma, Ranayana, he was a poor chowkidar, carried on the resistance. With popular support, he destroyed many British camps and records. He was caught and hanged by the British in 1830. In the late 1830s, the East India Company became worried about Russia. It imagined that Russia might expand across Asia and enter India from the northwest. Driven by this fear, the British now wanted to secure their control over the northwest. They fought a prolonged means continuing for a long time, war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842 and established indirect company rule there. Sindh was taken over in 1843. Next in line was Punjab, but the presence of Maharaja Ranjit Singh held back the company. After his death in 1839, two prolonged wars were fought with the Sikh kingdom. Ultimately, in 1849, Punjab was annexed. So, in the late 1830s, the East India Company was worried about Russia, that it can expand across Asia and can enter into India from the northwest. So, with having a fear, the British now wanted to secure control over northwest. They fought war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842 and established indirect company rule there. And then Sindh was first taken, then next Punjab. But in Punjab, Maharaja Ranjit Singh was very strong and held back the company. But after his death in 1839, two prolonged wars were fought with the Sikh kingdom. Ultimately, in 1849, Punjab was annexed. Our next topic is the doctrine of lapse. Here, lapse means a brief or temporary failure of concentration, memory, or judgment. Let us see. The final wave of annexations occurred under Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General from 1848 to 1856. He devised a policy that came to be known as the doctrine of lapse. The doctrine declared that if an Indian ruler failed to if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, his kingdom would lapse, that is, become part of company territory. One kingdom after another was annexed simply by applying this doctrine. Satara 1848, Sambalpur 1850, Udaipur 1852, Nagpur 1853 and last Jhansi 1854. Finally in 1856 the company also took over Awadh. This time the British had an added argument. They said they were obliged by duty to take over Awadh in order to free the people from the misgovernment of the Nawab, enraged by the humiliating way in which the Nawab was deposed. Deposed means to remove from office or position, and here humiliating means make someone feel ashamed and foolish by injuring their dignity and pride. The people of Awadh joined the great revolt that broke out in 1857. So, in this paragraph, the doctrine of lapse. According to this doctrine, if an Indian ruler dies without a male heir, his kingdom would lapse, that is, his kingdom would become the part of the company. Here, HEIR here means successor. Next heading is setting up a new administration. Warren Hastings, Governor General from 1773 to 1785, was one of the many important figures who played a significant role in the expansion of company power. By his time, the company had acquired power not only in Bengal but also in Bombay and Madras. British territories were broadly divided into administrative units called presidencies. There were three presidencies: Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. Each was ruled by a governor. The supreme head of the administration was the Governor General. Warren Hastings, the first Governor General, introduced several administrative reforms, notably in the sphere of justice. From 1772, a new system of justice was established. Each district was to have two courts, that is, criminal court, Fauzdari Adalat, and a civil court, Diwani Adalat. Maulvis and Hindu Pandits interpreted Indian laws for the European district collectors who presided over civil courts. The criminal courts were still under a qazi and a mufti but under the supervision of the collectors. Here, qazi means a judge and a mufti means a jurist of the Muslim community responsible for expounding the law that the qazi would to compile a digest of Hindu laws and had translated it into English. By 1778, a code of Muslim laws was also compiled for benefit of European judges, and Regulating Act 1773, a new Supreme Court was established, while a court of appeal, the Sardar Nizamat Adalat, was also set up at Calcutta. The principal figure in an Indian district was the collector. As the title suggests, his main job was to collect revenue and taxes and maintain law and order in his district with the help of judges, police officers, and darogas. His office, the collectorate, became the new center of power and patronage that steadily replaced previous holders of authority. So, children, now I am going to give important information to you that regarding the notes of history first chapter, how, when and where. On 29th July, the notes is given. It is in your online classes, so please note it down in your copy. And the next thing is your pre-midterm exam portion is history first chapter, how, when and where. Then civics first chapter, the Indian Constitution. Then next geography first chapter, the resources. So prepare these three chapters for pre-midterm. Thank you.